Shalom, it's following Yahshua. Welcome again to the Rock. This Friday night, or the seventh day night on the Shabbat, I usually have a live stream. We're going to have one this Shabbat, or seventh day night, Friday night, at 6:30 or 6:40 Central Standard Time. And it's going to be about matriarchy. My beloved brother HOQ did a video called Matriarchy Bull. If you have not seen it, if I can remember, I'll link it in the description. He'll probably comment in this video, so you can just click on it and go view the video. It's called Matriarchy Bull. And what I've noticed is in this faith today, the faith has been infiltrated by matriarchy. And now people are, and men included, are speaking on very, a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions. And the faith, the Bible has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with how you feel or your emotions. So people are perverting the Bible now to fit themselves based on how they feel. Well, we'll talk about that. Well, for this video, we're going to speak on, as things continue to move on, if things don't change, and 2021 looks a lot like 2020, have you figured out yet what you're going to do? Have you figured out yet what plan you have for your life, your children's lives? This thing looks so, and talking about matriarchy, you can't look at this situation that we are facing with emotions. You can't look at it with feelings. You can't look on it on your opinion. Well, I think this, and I think that. You have to look at it based on what you see. You have to pray to the Father and have Him guide you. Violence is increasing. If you look around the whole world right now, it seems to be protests everywhere. People are fed up. People are fed up. People are emotionally involved and invested into things, especially those in this faith, are emotionally invested into things that isn't going to change anything. And now, as things continue to get worse, I was reading an article. They said in Miami, the city of Miami, hundreds of people were camping out outside of a grocery store, Publix, because the city of Miami was giving out $250 gift cards to Publix. And there are people camped out all night for the opportunity. They only give out 500 of them. But they were camped out all night to get a $250 gift card. And they were interviewing some of the people, and the people were saying that they don't have food, they don't have a job. You know, a lot of these jobs that are gone are gone. They are gone. And they're not coming back. They are not going to be coming back. Most of the jobs that are coming out now are $20 or 20 hour, 25 hour, 26, 7, 8 hour jobs. I remember, I worked at 2 hospitals in my lifetime. And I remember, because I did it myself, but not for the same reason, but I worked a ton of overtime. And I know a lot of people that work a ton of overtime at their jobs, and that's how they survive. They got to a point now where they can't afford their lifestyle so much that they had to work 20 and 25 hours of overtime just to maintain their lifestyle weekly. So they were working 60 to 65 hours a week just to maintain. And now their hours are being cut back. They lost their job. Or they get their hours cut back to 20 hours, 25 hours. How do you survive off that? How do you survive living that way? And now the choices, the tough choices are being made, are having to be made. What do you do if this goes into 2021? They're saying, economists that I was reading from on the internet are saying that, not just any internet, reputable sources, well, relatively speaking, reputable sources, were saying that the economy at the earliest that it could ever return to normalcy would be anywhere between 2025 and 2030. What would the world look like by then? What is anything going to look like by the year 2025, 2030? We know 2030 is a very important year. For those of you who don't know what I'm saying, 2030 is a very important year for them. What is this world going to look like at the end of a Biden presidency? What is this country going to look like? What is everything going to look like at the year of at the end of a Biden presidency? Guns flew off the shelves, ammo flew off the shelves, everybody's arming up. And I just don't think that's a coincidence. It's amazing that those within the world were able to be prudent, foresee the evil, and at least take the measures that they could to purchase firearms and ammunition, while those of us who are in the faith, so many are still sitting back saying, I'm relying, I don't have anything to worry about, I'm relying on Yah. Well, I've relied on Yah when I've been in this faith. And yet there have been many times where I have seen things happen to people that were in this faith that had they had a firearm, they would have been able to protect themselves. But because they did not have a firearm or a means of protection that they were trained in, things befell upon them. It's almost like today people don't know history. We don't want to read what happened in Argentina. We don't want to what happened to the Weimar Republic, the Zimbabwe dollar. We don't want to know history. We don't want to know what happens when a currency is devalued, when an economic collapse happens, when there was a Great Depression. One of the people I've always enjoyed talking to as a person who is an Israelite and preparedness-minded, I've always enjoyed talking to people who made it through the Great Depression. Because if you look at them today, you know, a lot of them are what people would call pack rats. I remember I was working for a guy when I first moved here, and he survived through the Great Depression. And I was helping him build out his barn. And he was telling me, I was doing handyman work for him. And he was telling me about going through the Great Depression and how he had an 8x8 shed in his backyard where he had it literally stuffed to the top with tin cans. Not full of food tin cans, empty tin cans. Because he said that he found the value of tin cans at that time. They kept their glass jelly jars. They kept their plastic ketchup bottles. He kept used motor oil because he would paint his barn with used motor oil. For those of you who know about that trick, it waterproofs it because the wood absorbs it. But he was painting his barn, and that's one of the jobs I did. I was painting his barn in used motor oil or used hydraulic oil. I painted his trailer, and it was kerosene or the diesel and motor oil. I think it was a mix of diesel and motor oil to waterproof it. And he said that he learned skills that help him survive. The problem today, though, is that people today don't have skills. They don't know how to survive. They don't know how to make it. The people back then were very resourceful. They were smart. Men work with their hands. So the average man would know how to change his oil or something like that. Today, we're so dependent on everybody else to do the job for us. And we're so dependent that they make the cars now that have to alert you when your car needs an oil change, because most people don't even know themselves. Men don't even know themselves when it's time to change the oil. They don't know where the drain plug is. They don't even know where their oil pan is. Some don't even know how to put oil in their car. So what's going to happen if things continue to go the way they go? The people today don't have the skills, the knowledge, the know-how. Most people haven't faced the question of, what do you do if you live in an apartment and you're able to pay your rent? You have to make the choice. I'm either going to pay my rent, or I'm going to keep the water on. I'm going to keep the heat on. My electric bill is going to be paid. I'm going to keep the natural gas pumping so I can cook. I'm going to keep the electric on so I can run my air conditioning or whatever it is, or run my heat so I can cook. So I could heat my my electric stove. There are people today who are making those choices, who are making the choices of, what do I pay and what do I not pay? And then with all this social distancing, people are afraid to get around other people. People are afraid to be around other people. They've effectively separated people. And there is some wisdom in that because, of the zombie plague. And I'm not here to argue about people. It's not real. I'm not here to argue with you. I've worked in a hospital. I've seen what it can do. Are the numbers real? That's where I'm sketchy. But is it real? Yes, it is. But I do not believe in numbers. I'll just say that I do not believe in numbers at all. But what happens as we go into 2021? What happens as we see the emotions and feelings of people? What happens because so many people don't know history that they are going to repeat it, except now we are less resourceful. So our inability to be resourceful, most people don't have the resources. When they had money, they didn't buy sewing machines. When they had money, they didn't learn how to a first aid class. When they had money, they didn't even buy first aid material. They didn't buy first aid things. When they had the money, they did not put back even the slightest. They don't have tools. They don't have a Phillips screwdriver. They don't have they don't have anything. And now, when they don't have tools and they don't have skills, now we're going to be relying upon it more. The Bible says in Ecclesiasticus, the rich man is known for his riches and the poor man for his skills. Well, I've never been rich, but I did have to learn and develop skills. I had to learn to do because I couldn't pay for it. And while I was, when you are poor, you oftentimes hope for the opportunity to just have money. And now I sit back and I say, thank you, Father, because I have learned so many skills that I'm not necessarily worried about, what happens if the grocery store shut down, or what happens if the local grocery store shuts down, because I'm growing my food. What happens if I can't heat? Well, I can come out here and cut wood. I'm sitting right now on a very large tree that was rotted out in the inside, and I took it down, and we're chopping it up for firewood. I'm not worried about heat, lighting, warmth. If you have any time or opportunity, I would suggest look at or speak to, if you know somebody who made it through the Great Depression, and ask them about some of the skills that they feel you are going to need. Because these people are full of wisdom, full of knowledge, full of knowing how to survive, knowing how to feed their family, knowing how to make it. 2021 looks interesting. 2021 and beyond just looks mighty interesting. And I really do hope, that you have made some sort of plan, made some sort of something, communicated with people, made a friendship, something that's going to help you make it. It's going to help you get through, and study some history. Study what happened in Argentina. Study what's happened whenever a currency collapsed or jobs were removed, or just look what happened. Especially when you look through history, you may say, well, during that time, people banded together and they made it through together. Let me ask you a question. Do you think people have that in them today? To band together, to make it together? Or are people more likely to turn on you, to take what you have? What kind of survival instinct do people have today? Something to think about. Bless you. Hope you have a blessed, what was it, fourth day? A blessed fourth day. Shalom.